Hi there, I am Lisa Nicoll and I am Creative Director of In Motion Theatre Company, and In Motion Theatre and See Me are delighted to bring you The Voice Behind the Scenes. Now, The Voice Behind the Scenes is a set of very short talks from writers who were involved with the project The Voice Behind the Picture. The Voice Behind the Picture is a series of 14 brand new monologues which were written during lockdown to tackle what goes on behind the images that we see on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What goes on in somebody's life really? The things that we're sometimes scared to talk about because we think there's a stigma attached to it. And these are pieces that let the writer and the experiences that they have had or observed be seen, and more importantly, be heard. And it's important for us that you as an audience understand where some of these pieces have come from and how we can start to tackle the stigma that is attached to the themes of many of the stories that are in these. So sit back, enjoy. Please feel free to comment about anything that you see in terms of what you may connect with, or if you want to talk further about any of these things as well. So thank you so much. And also, you can watch the pieces of The Voice Behind the Picture on In Motion's YouTube channel as well, just in case you want to then see the whole thing. There's small extracts shown here, but very small extracts, otherwise we would have been here all day. So I hope you enjoy and that you listen to the passion that the writers used in writing these pieces.
I pull the heads off our roses, petal by petal. I shred them. Some shreddings remain stuck to the palm of my hand. I can't shake them off. A phone rings. My phone, I think, 3 times. Can hear it vibrating from the kitchen through the clangs of coffee mugs on the table and those hushed conversations of family, of cousins, of aunties, of uncles. Like Uncle, I want to say Colin, who only shows up on these worst of occasions.
Hi, my name is ARRON and I'm one of the writers on In Motion and See Me Scotland's project, The Voice Behind the Picture. My play, The Visit, follows the protagonist Rob as he goes through the process of leaving his family home for the final time on the morning of his mother's funeral. Rob recounts his childhood memories, and since then the amount of times he's returned home for a visit to see his mother. The story deals with Rob's inarticulacy, with his grief and what it's like to have to say goodbye to a place and people you love. I think the stigma attached to my play The Visit is very particular to how men deal with grief and mental health. It's a moment where your family and friends and so many people around you want to be there to listen, they want you to be heard, but I think we go through a process of shutting down, and you can become very much just a head or the shell of a body. And I think it deals with the stigma of being unable to talk in those early stages when you are just bargaining with yourself.
My name's Lindsay Duffy, and my monologue, Heavy Like a Stone, focuses on a young man building up the courage to let his date know that he's an orphan, having lost his parents at a very young age. And while the loss of a parent is devastating, I wanted to challenge the idea that it's somehow easier at different stages of your life. And the character in the monologue lost his parents when he was very young and had very few memories of them, but that in no way made it easier for him to deal with that loss. And in fact, became a huge barrier for him as he went through his life. And in this particular set of circumstances, it had a huge effect on his willingness to open up to somebody and to trust them and to let them know who he really was.
I think she's going to ask me soon. I can feel it. It's only a matter of time. She asked me where I grew up, but I changed the subject. Cracked a bad joke. Something about my height. I banged my head in our second date. She didn't laugh when I banged my head. I wouldn't have blamed her if she did. Bloody gastropubs. All beans, craft ales and food served on a spade. She did get me ice though, for my head. But it turned into this whole thing, and I was so sweaty and nervous about the date and about the head thing, and you know how ice can be? Well, it melted down the front of my face. 4 cubes of it turned into a bloody river. Must have looked like I was crying.
Hi, my name's CHRISTIE. I'm the writer of the piece All My Children. All My Children is part of a project between See Me Scotland and In Motion Theatre Company called Voice Behind the Picture. It's the story of a bereaved dad. It's the story of the day he goes to hospital with his wife to give birth to their stillborn children. Bereavement is something we all have to deal with, death and taxes, as they say. But it can be a cause for celebration. The service, the wake, a chance to share happy memories, a chance to talk about the road well travelled. But it's not like that with the loss of a child. There's no memories. There's been no time for the story to build. But it happens every day. 14 babies die in the United Kingdom every day. And that's the voice behind the picture. How do we talk about such an unacceptable truth? This dad, he's telling the story to his son who's been at home asleep with Granny and Grandad because he can't tell anyone else. How do you share a story that's so painful? But we're social creatures. We want to talk. We want to share. But at the same time, how do we listen? How do we ask somebody if they're okay when we know they're not? How do we stay with them and hear a story that is so painful? But I know, as a dad, I want to talk about my children. They didn't get to live the life that I wanted for them. But I still have my hopes and dreams. I still want to share that. They're still part of my family. And that's the voice behind the picture. We don't know what's happening in everyone else's lives. So we need to talk and we need to listen.
My name is CHRISTIE, and my monologue with the In Motion Theatre voice behind the picture is Diablo in Blunderland, performed by Karen Back. What the key story in my play is, Diablo, the character, has Asperger's syndrome, that is a form of autism, and he works as a language assistant. He does this job because he struggles with communication, so learns for the students. While doing a psychic card reading, he stumbles into hip-hop when his anger, sadness and anxiety comes across as a world turned upside down, where fairy tale characters commit crimes.
Right. Paolo, are you listening? Get your books out. We'll begin. This is what is on the cards. The police will raid a teddy bear's picnic, and there will be a Mad Hatter's tea party with sack races in bags of flour. Humpty Dumpty will fall off the bandwagon, getting serious injuries. He will learn the garlic language in therapy. Garlic. Garlic will be the new language. I will be requested as a translator, as this is the language I can speak.
I was too scared to speak about some things because of the stigma. there was less awareness about autism, just labels like geek and nerd, and stereotypes such as Rain Man. People didn't ken how to handle it, so there was a lot of frustration and impatience. I questioned myself about why I struggled to make friends and couldn't manage in jobs. And instead of following trends and fashions, I retreated into myself and created fantasy worlds.
My name's Diane Stewart, and my play What If is about a character called Jamie who finds out his partner is pregnant, and that triggers a discussion about his health anxieties.
I mean, that's great. It is great, isn't it? I guess it was always a possibility. I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't have happened. I just want you to know, if it isn't great, it's your body, and I support you. No, honestly, I'm made up. God, this is real. This is really happening. Do you need anything? Do you want to sit down or a drink or something? Obviously, like a juice, not a drink. I do get it. And not that I'm trying to control your body or anything. God, that'd be awful.
I think the fear of being judged from a writer comes from a place where quite often an audience sees a character and they think, oh, that must be you as the writer. Sometimes there is a bit of me in there. Sometimes there's a lot less of me in there. Sometimes there'll be a character that has really none of me in it, where I really dislike the character and I disagree with some thoughts and views they have, maybe some quite problematic things. And I hope to make that character grow and learn and have a different view on the world, maybe one that is closer to mine by the end of the piece. I think that judgment can make you sometimes put a filter on what you write, and maybe sometimes not challenge yourself. And I think also that goes with things that might be difficult to write about. I don't always want an audience to think, oh, that's how Diane feels about something. It might come from a nugget of truth in me, but not necessarily a whole way I feel or think.
Hi, I'm Nicola TODD, and my play Wendy House is about the parent-child relationship and the complexity of loving somebody who has caused you harm.
I just really need to feel safe. A safe space. A small space. A little hideaway where no one else can get inside. I know that must seem strange. I'd have thought so too. A grown woman hiding inside a blanket fort. I mean, it's not normal behaviour. I'm not saying it's normal. But I don't want to analyse it. I don't want reassurances. I've got a little tornado inside me. And when I built this safe space and crawled in, it stopped. Just about.
I heard a quote recently that said, "Boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously." And that's a concept that I would love to be discussed without judgment, that loving a parent or anyone should never come at the expense of your own well-being, that it's never selfish to look after yourself. I think that people might not want to talk about having a difficult relationship with a parent because they might feel a sense of shame or perhaps failure, a fear of being judged. I think the only way for that to change is for us to be willing to have more open and honest discussions with people and recognise that no two families are the same and no two relationships are the same.
Hi Colour Crew, it's Rosie Bear here. Welcome to the Rainbow Connections vlog. I have a story for you about how your dreams can become real if you truly believe in the power of colours in nature. And remember, don't let fear swamp your colourful spirit.
Hi, my name's Leah and I'm from Buckie in the northeast coast of Scotland. I'm the writer of Rosie. The inspiration behind Rosie's story is an idea that I'm currently working on at the moment, following the lockdown and trying to reconnect the people of Buckie. The key story is that Rosie the rainbow bear wakes up one night following a really weird and vivid dream of how she can make a music festival a reality, and we follow her progress throughout her vlog. I really feel that Rosie's story is incredibly relatable, especially in this current climate, where both adults and young people are feeling so scared about what's happening throughout COVID-19. And it's great to see how the story is told from a fictitious character's point of view, but using a young person's eyes.
Hi there, my name is Stephen Arthur, and for the Voice Behind the Picture project, I've written a piece called Common Chat. Common Chat revolves around a young man called Maxie, who has grown up in a high-rise building in the south side of Glasgow. And unfortunately for Maxie, he feels that the only way he can engage and fit in with his peer group, who we meet through a WhatsApp group chat, is by abusing alcohol to the point that he doesn't remember the night out.
Don't even like these jeans, you know. They look bogging. It's something like an Asda George mannequin wouldn't even wear. Check these light blue side pockets, man. And when did it become a crime to wear jeans that fit? Absolutely no give with these. I dropped my phone tonight. Game over. The rest of the lads wear them though. So, when I do, it helps greatly in identifying me as one of them.
I think you are scared of being judged. First of all, just because it's something that you're personally putting out there. But I think in relation to the subject matter that I had written about, I was eager to be careful with how it was presented, how the character presented himself in terms of his almost alcohol addiction. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that this fear made me go back and really analyse the character, find out not only who he was, but why was I making this point, why was I putting it out there, and if I was doing it in the best way possible. I think specifically for this piece, I was drawing on certain inspirations from aspects of my own life, from growing up or whatever. So I felt as if I was on the right lines in order to give this character's truth.
Hi, my name is G.R. Greer and this is GG, and my monologue, The Sentence of a Leaf, is about a young gay man named Darren who's talking to a bereavement counsellor after the death of his father and how that has affected his mental health.
He asked me to bring something that reminds me of him, that I've got an emotional connection to. And at first I didn't know what to bring. I thought I could maybe bring my dog, but then I thought, nah, she might piss away the flare. Then I thought I could bring a photo of us, but he wouldn't like that. Hated getting his photo taken. So I decided on this. I brought this bracelet. Brought it back for me, one of his holidays. Lanzarote, his annual holiday abroad. I mean, it's not the nicest thing, is it? I remember when he gave it to me, I'm just looking down at this ugly wee brown thing. At first I didn't really know what it was. I'm thinking, oh, how am I going to tell him that it's bloody rotten?
I think the barriers that are present for someone that wants to talk about the sentience of a leaf are definitely grief, mental health and LGBTQ+. And I'm going to break it down for each section. So a barrier for grief is definitely that everyone has an individual grieving process. I don't think one person has the same, and if someone's struggling with grief, they might not want to talk about it, or if it's been recent or someone really close to them, I think that it'll definitely, they might not want to talk about it straight away. I think there's also that feeling of you don't want to burden other people with your problems or your grief. I know when my grandpa died, I didn't talk about it at all, really, and I just moved on straight away and tried to forget about it. But when my dad died last year, it was completely different. I had a really long, and probably still now, I'm grieving over his death. But also I think with other people, talking to someone that is grieving, I think there's also that thing where they don't know what to say, or if they say the wrong thing, and they don't really want to talk about it or ask someone if they're okay or how they're doing, in case it affects them. But I think personally, from my experience, that you should probably talk about it, because it's helped me a lot.
Who's your dues? Aye, pinching. I'm pecking, out of breath. The hunters are chasing me. I'm in Collin Bridge. I've drawn them into my backyard. I love a challenge. Joining Hunted TV gives me that. I'm the hunter's prey. They track me or trace me through my phone or bank card. The control centre watches and looks for me on CCTV. The hunter's game is to make me fail.
Hello, I'm LYNSEY CRAIK. I'm the writer of Hunted. This piece came from my inner emotions. Being truthful, doing my best. It's probably the result of scouting and working in defence, where I experienced a number of things that I took into my cocoon. The release from deep suppression of fears came from my regular hikes and climbs in the mountains. At the time of writing, I was to be on the Hunted TV programme. This was me escaping, enjoying the chase, and freeing my mind up. I'd be hunted.
The train pulls up to the platform and, for a moment, I forget. I press the beeping button, as normal. Then I remember. Who else has touched it this morning? I reach into my coat, get my alcohol gel, rub it over my red hands. What would you think of all this? Would you be angry at the politicians, who are more concerned with protecting the reputation of the dead than looking out for the living? Or would you be laughing at the ridiculousness of our sudden fear of familiar places?
Hi, my name is Leslie Kapitanchik, and I'm here to talk to you about my story, We Were Never Gardeners. The story is about a concert violinist called Sophie, who's uncertain of how to feel when she learns of the death of her ex-partner. The story is all about her journey home to the house that she used to share with her ex-partner long ago, and the way that the different emotions that she experiences on her journey home. I was inspired by the title of the project, The Voice Behind the Picture, which made me think of how people are often forced to perform in certain ways in this situation. When people are bereaved, people often expect them to act in a certain way. They expect them to be upset. They expect them to be angry. What they maybe don't acknowledge is that the bereaved person is perhaps still in a state of disbelief, is still expecting the person to be coming home, is expecting the person to be coming around the corner. And in that case, the bereaved person perhaps is quite calm because they don't see yet what has happened, that things have changed, and it's only later that the full force of what has happened hits them.
So thank you so much for watching The Voice Behind the Scenes. I know that some of you who have watched this may have already seen the voice behind the picture, and this has helped consolidate and find out more about what inspired the writer to write these pieces. You may be watching this for the first time and you may go, I want to watch the full The Voice Behind the Picture. So please do that as well. And as I say, you can do that at our YouTube channel. We want to continue to have voices heard of all kinds to tackle stigma, especially to do with mental health. So a huge thank you to the writers who recorded these little short talks during lockdown at home themselves, and also to the actors who are involved in this project. And I hope that there's much more of this kind of work to be heard, because I think writing is a great way for people to express themselves and to get their voice out there to a wider audience. So a huge thanks from See Me and from In Motion Theatre Company.
Thank you.